palm trees of Florida grow closer every single day, but tonight we go racing under palm trees of a different sort. Welcome to the Auto Club Speedway for the second time this season, and to the Ohio and Indiana Roofing 250. My name is Lorenzo. Joined alongside me tonight is Justin Prince, bringing you all of racing action from start to finish of tonight's 125, 250-mile race. Justin, it's the second race in the round of 8 of the playoffs here this afternoon. The championship continues to get ever more intense as the nights go on. And for drivers that are on the outside looking in, not a lot of time left if they want to get themselves in with a shot to get into the Final Four.
Absolutely, especially since the buffer's already been building up in the point standings, entering tonight some of the separation already upwards of nearly 20 points between 4th and 5th alone. So for many of these contenders tonight, it's about hoping for some luck to fall your way, but better yet, helping your own by performing so well here. It is a tough racetrack in the first place here, Nolan. It's just a matter of can you conquer it over the course of 125 laps tonight.
You and I were talking earlier tonight, right? Almost 20-point gap between Michael Thorpe Jr., who is the first driver in, and Wyatt Walker, who is the first driver out. But with over 30 cars qualified and ready to rumble here this afternoon, plenty of chances for those points to swing about. Jada Hopp, of course, the title favorite entering today. He himself only 7 points above that cut spot going into this one. So while it may be a near 20-point gap between 4th and 5th, that's not to say that the top four aren't close together. Anything can change in a heartbeat when you get a field this big. And well, Auto Club has proven to be a bit of a chaotic track in the past here for the High Tide Racing League, and I'm not expecting tonight to go any differently.
Yeah, absolutely. This type of a racetrack tonight offers the chance of multi-group racing in particular, especially in 3 and 4. We may see some drivers try and fan out a little bit, try and get some power for the front straightaway. Could also rip the top a little bit in 1 and 2, but for the most part, people were testing that top line in the practice sessions. They still have about 4 minutes to make sure everything's good to go with their technical setups, but we'll say these drivers will be fanning out pretty heavily in some parts of this race, trying to get the preferred groove all mastered for tonight to make sure they time up their fuel runs well and make sure they don't burn up their general tires.
Fuel, I think, is going to be a big story tonight. We were potentially looking at how close the fuel numbers might be if drivers are able to kind of stretch a long distance here. But that is relying on this race going green a long ways, and historically has not been the case. Last race we had here, we didn't really get a good green flag lap in until about 30 laps to go. That was also a 125 lap race in this very season just earlier on this year. If it goes a similar fashion, fuel might not be as big a factor as we think, but if it goes green, which, I mean, hey, let's be real, and a track this one, anything's possible. The fuel could very well be a big story coming into this one. Tires, also a huge factor. These cars, super draft heavy, but those tires, you're going to start feeling those when you're about 20, 30 laps in a green flag run.
Absolutely, and keep in mind, just 4 tire sets available in the pit lane tonight. So, based on some of the math, you're talking about maybe 1 set, maybe 2 if you're lucky with some of the caution flags in regards to spare sets for tonight, including the green flag stops. So there isn't really much wiggle room in case we do get the top of a caution flag early on in a run or early on the race. We may see a lot of people have to stay out to make sure they keep those sets for later on tonight. So there's so much in terms of the equation on making sure you get the tires to the end, but better yet, make sure you pick the right strategy to get to said end of the race.
You know, we were looking early at the practice standings entering this race, and one of the big discussions, right, was how separated the playoff grid was here, right? Only Walker and Hobbs within the top 10 of the practice charts. 3rd and 4th, Passenger and Hobb Disson all the way back in 12th and 16th. Other playoff drivers outside of the top 20. It has not been a good night in terms of practice time for those playoff contenders, and they are going to need to do better if they want to have a realistic shot at getting into the Final Four with the cutoff race just around the corner.
Absolutely, and it's going to be interesting to see if we see an upset winner here tonight to be able to break on through, try and power the way through. There hasn't been too many winners in terms of different drivers in the postseason per se, but there's still the opportunity for someone to say, I can get the win here, be able to at least add themselves to the win column here, especially with the different types of racetracks on the schedule to close on out. But it's still the top racetrack that's driver intensive. If you're a good driver, you normally can find yourself, well, driving up at the front of the field. And some of the drivers like Jesse Gordon, who we've seen at the top of the board, going to be someone to keep an eye on, to say at the very least, especially with the speed showcased in practice and in qualifying so far for the 69 cam.
And right now, Jesse Gordon, a big contender. He's been making a bit of a name for himself more and more as of late. So Jesse Gordon might not be a playoff contender running part-time this season, but one of many drivers to keep an eye out for as we enter the second race here of the round of eight. Well, we got a big field to get through. May as well get a jump on it. We'll take a rundown of your official starting grid. Coming on over into the Ohio and Indiana Roofing 250. Starting the pole position this afternoon, it's going to be who else but Jesse Gordon. The Batmobile number 69 will line up on the front row with a 40.071. Kevin Foster, the GFR Racing Mustang, will start beside him on the front row, just over half a tenth of a second off the pace. Row number 2, it's John Osborne, the Nerds number 5 Mustang for 785 Racing, lines it up in third. He starts alongside the People in the Woods Chevrolet down in fourth. Row 3, it's Jeremiah Hobbs, the first playoff contender, all the way back in fifth from Midwest Motorsports. He starts in fifth alongside Nick Nickerson down in sixth. Row 4, bring it up for Jaden Hopp, the title favorite entering tonight. The Old School Races 00 starting in seventh alongside Paul Sapmary for Guardian Amsoil Racing. And the top 10 then, Justin, closed out by a playoff contender, Connor Gibson for BC Simsport out of Canada, alongside Michael Ramos down in the Blockbuster Mustang.
Next up in the order is Sean A. Williams, the Streamers. Seppi will start alongside Benjamin Lacey, one of the top contenders this season in points. Larry Bell starts next in the order. They'll be next to Dalton Kilroe, last year's champion. Then it's going to be Christopher Bassinger, who will start alongside Brian Dees in the field. Bassinger should say for the 15, but David Leakey will be in 17th. Michael Thorpe Jr. is in 18th. Then Nicholas Corcel will start down the field in 19, Tanner Marr for 5 Kings down in 20th.
21st spot is going to be Ethan Sikorsky, the JBL 94 Camry, brings it up 21st alongside Scott Shire for Old School Racers. Row number 12, we got Dustin Ping for Ping Precision Racing. He starts alongside fellow playoff contender Wyatt Walker. Row number 13 on the grid, it's Carter Phillips for 5 Points Motorsports. The State Park number 30 bringing it up at 25th alongside Michael Keepley in 26th. Tom Marasco is up in 27th. He is alongside Mike Massengill. Top 30 closed out by Austin McGill and Bob Barry, and the 31 car field closed out by Michael Ashmore, making it 31 down at the tail end of the field. Well, drivers are starting to roll out from pit road this afternoon. Jesse Gordon being sent to the tail of the field here this afternoon. Had a DOL penalty that he caught, so he will be sent to the back of this one. But now that we're in the race session, we can take a look at the weather entering this one. 9 degrees Fahrenheit, some fierce crosswinds though. 14 miles an hour of southward winds. That's going to put a lot of pressure on these cars to go racing into the sunset.
Yeah, going to cause some turbulence in the corners, a little bit more snappy in the corners as a result of the wind. But it's going to be the matter of, can you withstand those conditions here tonight? These winds going to be swirling a little bit as the night progresses. But these drivers will now get themselves sorted with Foster and Osborne, getting the chance to battle it out. A pair of Fords going to be on this front row.
Pair of Fords on the front row. And as always, we're happy you join us for racing action here on this fantastic Monday night. A new week of racing set to kick off as per the norm. Jesse Gordon not going to be the one to lead us to the green. Instead, that honor will go to Kevin Foster. He'll take us in to the Geico Restart Zone. Time to get the party started. It's go, 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 and Fontana! Trouble already. One car spinning down the inside. That's going to be Kyle Wellman, and the caution flag coming out early on here this afternoon. Didn't even make it off of turn 2 as the 42 has gone around for the head of the field.
Yeah, really sparked up because Kevin Foster pushed too hard coming out of turn 2, scrubbed the safer barrier, and because of that, it's a checkup effect where you're carrying basically full throttle in most situations. For Wellman, just the worst possible spot with the timing of that because of what happened to one of those machines up at the front of the field. Let's take a look at the replay. Just watch. He's up out of the groove by about half a lane than you would expect that by that point of turn 2. Way up the racetrack, has to get out of the gas as he hits the wall. And Wellman just pings off of him and gets him a little bit of assistance on the way down the racetrack for the caution.
And Jeremiah Hobbs just barely slipped into the middle, and Wellman did a good job to keep that off the inside wall. That could have been very much a junk race car. He's just going to barely squeak through on the inside. Let's ride on board with the number 3. The Midwest Motorsports driver finds himself in 4th. Took his first podium at Texas earlier this season, and he just barely skates to the racket. This might keep his playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, he did assist on the way down the racetrack in terms of the turnaround, but it isn't any damage for Hobbs that he's going to have to really deal with on the race car. But we talked about fuel mileage, going to be very close tonight. Well, several drivers, including Dalton Kilroe, just went down pit road to top off, Nolan. And again, the markers, if you had, say, an average of around 40, which is up very, very aggressive on the fuel numbers, you could say, you're talking about the fuel mileage being 5 laps short at the least. So at the very least, this helps alleviate some of the concerns for the end of the race on the fuel numbers if it goes green.
Let's watch it go. There we go. For the most part, for most drivers here in this field, as Kilroe's off and away, so is Walker and Shire. Wellman as well. Still switching to pit road. He is just now making his way on out. Now, interesting here, Benjamin Lacey with an extended stop in pit road. Had he potentially caught the wall coming out of turn number 2 to give him some damage? Because that's no reason why I can imagine why he'd be in the pits for any longer than 5 seconds right now.
Yeah, not sure exactly. I don't think he had really any damage at all. Just double checking. To answer your question, no, he did not get the wall. He was at the very back of the field because he was the other driver with an EOL penalty. So at this point, might have just been checking on something because he's at the back of the field already. May as well go and check to make sure everything's okay with whatever needs to be dealt with. Get back going. You don't risk losing a lap as long as you're quick with it.
No harm, no foul, right? If you're not going to lose anything that you are already down, then you may as well try something, see what happens. Well, we got a good period here under the yellow flag, right? Not a lot of new looks for drivers in the field. There is one that did catch my eye earlier on. Coruscant is selling the number 40. I didn't think you could do that on iRacing. How much do you reckon that car would go for? 10 grand, 20?
What kind of car are you looking at that's only $20,000 to run NARCA?
You're not wrong. It's expensive.
I'm pretty sure it's $25,000 a race for some people to run these cars.
Just for the tires alone. Yeah, well, we'll add an extra zero to that, maybe.
I mean, I think he's just kind of saying, you know what, I'm going to have fun with the paint scheme tonight. I don't have a sponsor. May as well say, you can buy my car. Well, remember, on iRacing, the cars are what, $14.99?
There you go. So that's, what, 1,400% markup there?
Yeah, give or take a few $100,000.
Or stacked up, doubled up. A lot of cars did come down pit road a second time there for even more fuel. Did you notice that?
Yes, I did, and that's again why I'm not surprised when we had so many people just top off to make sure their fuel numbers were good here, Nolan, with how tight it's going to get. Don't have to really save as hard or have to panic as hard, but a lot of the drivers, I will say, prioritizing track position, Nolan, because there was a trend of caution flags we were talking about before tonight's race when it comes to the style of racing sometimes.
Well, we'll see if we can get a lap in this time by Kevin Foster. Still leads a pair of Fords on the front row. Green flag back in the air. And we'll try her again as the field hightails it. John Oz with a good jump out in front as he clears towards turn number 1.
I think Osborne chose the top. That's why he got such the jump there. But Foster already proving he likes to hang out on the top. There's a lot of power. You get coming off of turn 2 there. Not as much as, say, a Michigan, but you can make moves. There are several people clap the wall in the back.
Quite a few people caught the wall. Michael Ashmore wanted nothing about it. He pulls down the inside, lets the field through. And now Kevin Foster Looking to try and go around the outside of John Osborne, coming out of turn number 4. Down the front straightaway, cuts to the inside, wanted to maybe use that apron. Can't use either, and now we're going to go 3 wide for the lead with playoff contender Jeremiah Hobbs on top, and he'll back out from the middle.
Yeah, right now Foster in his happy place at this point, but you'll see a lot of people try and conserve a little bit of tire by using that bottom of the racetrack. Gets you vulnerable, though, for that pull by the middle of the straightaway, down the back straightaway. That's allowed Foster to just take the swamp inside and be able to try and make this pass to take the lead as his teammate is on the outside of the 5 while the 8 takes the lead.
Great drive off the corner there for Kevin Foster, but John Osborne not going to take that one lying down. You're right on board with the number 5, as he has got Kevin Foster and Nick Nickerson making it 3 wide for the lead. Down to the turn numbers 1 and 2. A tight battle. I think the two may have just got a little close to the outside wall. You see him running that Larson line all the way at the top, and Kevin Foster retains the outside. He'll cover off the number 2.
Nickerson actually scrubbed the wall last time through in the middle of 1 and 2. Despite that, still got the power down to the least. I'm surprised he didn't lose a spot or 2 from him. Instead, was able to just push the 8 well in front by a sizable margin. But here's the thing. Last night here on the network, we were calling action at Pocono. It was very hard to break away because the amount of draft suction you get in the ARCA car is very high. That's a bit of trouble in the middle of the pack. That was 4 wide.
Jeremiah Hobbs kicked the car about 50 degrees sideways, somehow pulled it back up underneath them. One of the mammoth saves of the season right there for the number 3. We'll have to get a look at that when we have a chance. That'll be once/if things manage to calm down here at the head of the field. But Nick Nickerson, the GFR race number 2, is to the point.
Yeah, right now, those teammates just controlling things up at the front of the field. Foster just trying to work back and forth with those passes being done in 1 and 2 in particular. But you know who's making their way go forward? Not just Jaden Hopp, who's now going for +5. Sean Williams is up about 7. Korsky is up 12. A lot of big movers. They're 4 wide down the back again.
Wide on the approach into turn number 3. Now it's 3 by 3. John Osborne went from lead to this race. Now he's got it pinned in on the bottom with nowhere to go to get him back to the front. You were talking the Pocono race last night about just how hard it is to break away. Well, this racing that we're seeing here, not too unlike the last time these guys were at the Auto Club Speedway earlier this season. This is pretty much identical to the racing that we had there, except this time, a lot higher stakes on the line as Connor Gibson looks to drag around the top side of Paul Sapmary.
These drivers having a hard time being able to get themselves calmed down at this point. Osborne just pulling the ejector cord, just trying to get out of it. Just didn't get the run he needed to short run, and he's been under attack fiercely all while you have Hop ready to take the Hop for the race lead. Just trying to get himself set up for the pole and get that side draft from the 2 to pull him back and take the lead.
Jaden Hobb up to the top side. The Old School Racers 0-0 trying to make some ground. He's got a playoff contender former Christopher Passenger right behind him. Nick sliding up for the inside, and Jaden Hobb pulls back around the top shelf, and this time, with help from Passenger, he's going to get clear. Now, do we see 2 playoff contenders work together, or is Passenger going to go for glory himself?
Yeah, not quite sure quite yet, especially since he's already shoving up the racetrack. Very lucky that the 2 gave him a break, if anything. It's going to be very difficult to get him to a rhythm because these 2 teammates have just been going back and forth. These GFR racing machines do not want to remain patient per se. They only want to work with themselves, and that's going to potentially put the 15 on the aggressive end just to be able to settle down and be able to just try and get second here.
Well, they're going to go 2 by 2 here. Gibson may have just caught the wall coming into turn number 3, and we got trouble back straight away. And around goes Massagiel into the 3rd corner. And we are going to slow it down for the 2nd time today. That's going to cut Jaden Hopp a much-needed reprieve, but he also might load that because he was just starting to find momentum and break away. Well, not anymore.
I'm going to be curious on the look on what caused that, especially since I believe it was on the entry to turn 3. And right now, this field going to have a chance to maybe top off and get at least that late of the end of the race fuel number taken care of at least right now. But this is what I was talking about with some of the difficulty that you'll see. Keep an eye on Wyatt Walker. By the time we get to the next quarter, they're already slipping and sliding in the first place in 1 and 2. But by turn 3 entry, you just start making contact. This is the slide that sparked things a little bit early. That was a massive save at the heart of the field by Jeremiah Hobbs. Put him all the way down to 19th from it. But because the caution, Wyatt Walker, they're 3 wide already. Actually tries to push up and try and angle himself for the corner. Goes right into the 20s fender and just turns him.
A big hook of the left rear, spins the 20 Massaguilla around. Field does a good job to avoid the Blackhawk Motorsports number 20, and oh, how about that? Doesn't hit any. I thought for sure he might have hit something or somebody would have hit him, but no. Single car spin, 360, and he pulls it under him. Credit to him. That's a pretty good job as well.
Yeah, very lucky he didn't slip into the top groove and get collected there for instead of big damage there. Just has to survive. The rest of the race, Massaguilla's weekend not been the greatest, keeping it clean in this type of car, but most of the field, not all of the field, elected to come down and pit. A lot of people prioritizing track position more so than anything else, and it looks like just about everybody who came in did just a top off at best.
The lone driver that has opted against that is Hobbs, who is in likely for some damage repairs. Might have put some fresh tires on it. If he did put fresh tires on, I wouldn't blame him. I think it would still be wise to wait, but well, for the time being, two playoff contenders potentially exchanging some words a bit.
Can't confirm Hobbs did take tires. Coruscant jumped out of the race car, I believe, and has just been sitting in the pit stall. So I'll have to keep an eye on what happens here as the 20 got the ELL penalty for the caution. He held seam to seam, correct me if I'm wrong. But that's race control's decision.
Oh, well, you know, race control sometimes have those angles from up top. We happen to have our own. Let's see if we can't see what race control saw on this. There's Walker from the inside. Massaguilla up top. There's that seam.
Watch this. Yeah, watch that angle.
I don't see it.
Yeah, 71 came up into the seam of the 20, is at least what I saw. But he was going to be at the back regardless. Just
it doesn't change much at the end of the day, but what that does do, though, that could hurt him in the long run, right? I mean, because those EOLs rack up, and, well, there is a robust appeal system, but that helps for post-race appeal, so who knows, maybe that'll go down to one of those types of situations.
Regardless here, I think this is going to be an interesting start with the way Hobbs played things out. Sikorsky's been cutting their way through the field. Connor Gibson now back amongst the top 5. But Dustin Payne, he's playing this track position game. Remember, Payne has been fast throughout the series. 2-time winner this season. Right now, ready to start things off with the top 5.
Dustin Payne, of course, coming into this championship, having one of the best runs of form so far. The championship in season number 2, he kind of got lucky with a late tire call. He had been a lap down for much of the Homestead race to cap off the second season, but you know, Dustin Payne has really found his form here in season 4, and glad to see him back up and running towards the head of the field. Well, we are 15 laps deep. We'll start trip number 16 around 2 Mile Speedway. Bastard doesn't go. Green flag's out, and Hoff is clear by start finish.
As we done off the launch, but remember, there's a whole lot of draft effect to bring these drivers closer together again. Korsky trying to bunch the bottom. It's fanning 3 and 4 wide in the heart of the field. Some drivers nearly making door-to-door contact.
Bit of hip checking going on, but They were able to keep it together for the time being. Foster down the inside. And once again, the G of our teammates cannot get away from one another. 4 wide out through 3 and 4 up the track. Nickerson has to lift to avoid taking out David Lakey. And Jaden Hobby may have gotten out in front early. He has run down quickly. We got one car to the outside wall hard.
Ty Barasco. Barasco straight through the field.
Hard
hit
my.
across the 78.
Huge crash on the front straightaway. Austin McGill careens into the unprotected pit wall and tumbles over on the approach to turn 1. That has got to be one of the most violent hits we have seen since this track debuted in the High Tide Racing League in their second ever race way back in 2023.
That was very sketchy, to say the very least, with the angle. I'm surprised no one actually hit the 78 as he came across the racetrack. Take a look at this. Barasco ends up getting clipped around to the heart of the field, essentially. It was offset 4 wide, just got held onto the quarter panel, and from there gets assistance down the racetrack right across McGill, and the 78 takes the angle and somehow gets dodged by 3-4 different drivers.
That is incredible. That ended up being a 2-car incident. I think huge props going out to the field on that one. That could have been far worse than it ended up being.
Absolutely. I'm surprised that drivers back there were able to lock it down and avoid that with how much velocity there is. Again, night racing is, again, what you could say part of the cause of that. I'm surprised it's only like a 3-4 car incident in the first place.
Michael Keithley having to make a very aggressive chop down the racetrack to avoid the 78 as he flew back up the hill in front of him right on board.
This is going to be an interesting angle. Watch. Just has picked a lane and then look out. Just has to swing the car and make sure to get it stabilized before getting off on his way. That was mightily fast and dangerous, and we did get more pit stops. A lot of people trying to make sure their fuel mileage stretches as far as possible here. They do not want to pit under green with the way this race is going and running.
And I can't blame them, right? I mean, this is looking to be very reminiscent of the last time we raced here. It was a massive war of attrition. It usually is. In fact, the cleanest race we really had here was all the back in Season 2 with the Gen 4 cars, because those were like one of the few cars that this league is raced where you can't really bump nose to tail all that reliably like you can here in other cars. And of course, last time we were out here, rivaling the absolute carnage that we saw the first time we were out here, which saw double digits into that yellow flag column. And we're on what, already like 3-4 on just lap 19. Still got over 100 laps to go in this one.
Yeah, and the more attrition we get, the harder it's going to be for drivers in terms of keeping the focus. Of course, no faster pairs in the series, right? So it's just about maintaining the car as clean as possible, but also making sure it survives to get to the end. At this point, you already have several decently fast drivers going to have to spend the whole rest of their evenings at least getting repairs just to finish several dozen laps down. But all of this is with, mind you, still 6 or 7 cars yet to take any pit stop service that are just prioritizing track position, that are looking like the smartest ones in the room, as long as they get the time of cautions right, where they can then come down and then take that set if they so choose.
Tire strategy is going to be in abundance tonight, and you know, there's a different type of tire strategy that goes into these types of longer caution-filled races, right? I mean, what caution do you have to take the tires on? Because you don't want to gamble, go on them too early, but you also don't want to gamble too late and then miss the mark on the one run where you know it's going to go green. It really is a bit of a coin toss in those cases.
Absolutely. And at this point, it's about, can you survive the strategy roulette and find yourself on top? At this point, it's been proven pretty clearly. Track position definitely matters. Now, there is one car to keep an eye on here on this restart, Nolan. Tires for the 15, who's in 22nd. We'll see how big the difference on rubber is going to really count now that there is a bit of a smaller difference in green flag laps that at least one or two of these cars are going to have on the rest of the field.
Already the pace car and driver, no doubt, going to be getting worn down. I hope you have a spare fuel tank for that pace car, because I have a feeling it's in for a bit of a long night. And I hope Barney the Flagman has opted to change his flag waving strategy, because that arm going to be feeling it by the end of this race as well at the rate we're going. Jaden Hopp takes us back to the green flag. Michael Ramos picks up the number 2 spot. Gibson right in front of Sikorsky. Kind of follows Sikorsky following Gibson through, trying to give it the bump into turn 1. Didn't quite pan out the way they wanted that to, but they're at least able to remain side by side for second with the 27 up front.
Yeah, right now just trying to pace themselves and sort themselves out once again. Staying the 2x2 has to be the game plan early on. We'll say, what he's seen some of those GFR cars try and slice and dice their way back through already. Nickerson has been able to charge just outside the top 5 in the Horton's Nest.
And there you see Jesse Gordon, the pull center, leading on the door of Kevin Foster, nearly getting turned as well. Jesse Gordon making a strong drive back to the field. He qualified on pole, had to go to the back of the field with an EOL, and now, because of all of this mess, now he is starting to slowly but surely make his way back to the front as well.
Yeah, Gordon obviously driving the red mist, I will say, for the penalty. I know he was trying to appeal for it the entire time during the starting grid procedure. He is just flying, though. That's the priority for him. Gain all the spots back, get to the front, make pass after pass. He's amongst those drivers that topped off already in this one.
Oh my goodness, Paul Satmary really washed up the racetrack though, nearly putting Jesse Gordon up into the outside wall. Paul Satmary is struggling to control in the Lufthansa number 24. And I wonder if maybe he's starting to feel the pressure a little bit. He's one of the drivers that has not pitted so far all race long. So that car is lighter with the lower fuel tank, and also it is on more worn tires than some drivers in the field. Wellman catches the wall, and I think Satmary is starting to feel the pressure.
Well, remember, most of the field hasn't taken tires at all yet, except for 2. Cars 15 and 41. But here's the thing. They haven't made up any ground. All this is while the battle for the race lead is on. Once again, another pull to the inside to set something up. Hopp has got that outside chosen, though, because he knows how good it is for the straightaway speed to be able to defend from all these cars.
Jaden Hobbs sweeping from apron to wall as Connor Gibson trying to chase him down. Can the Canadian have a run here? Going up and around the outside line of the Arizona native. Gibson going to look to go all the way up to the outside wall. Risks dropping a brief position to Michael Ramos, but he knows he can get away with it. And we've got 4, 5 wide behind in turn numbers 1 and 2. Down the back straight with their fin, and now from apron to wall with no room for 6.
A little bit of chaos yet again. These drivers just are not giving themselves too many breaks. Lacey just got punted up the track. Thorpe Jr. gets punted around. Everybody gets bounced around. You can see that coming with some of the air, and that's caused a huge gap in the pack.
Right now, 0.8 of a second between 8th and 9th place on the racetrack, so it's an 8-car breakaway for the lead up at the head of the field. Michael Keithley has caught the wall fiercely as a result. You saw him ping off the door of Michael Thorpe Jr. go into the outside wall, so he now has started to drop through the field. There you see him way at the back, that blue and orange car down to the bottom. Gibson still trying to find a hole, but Ramos has got the hole filled up on the top side.
Leaky, that was a little bit of a checkup and a half in the middle of the field. But just all those checkups in the trap allows everyone to close up. But we're wrecking again. Michael Thorpe Jr. is not happy on the radio. He just got bounced around for 22nd.
And this is critical. That is one of the big championship contenders entering the race. And Thorpe has had he cannot catch luck. He has always been so consistent. One of the fastest drivers during the regular series season in seasons 2 and 3 and 4. Season 2, he got robbed of a great chance for a playoff run in the round of 8. The last season back, he ended up getting sick, lucked his way into the round of 8, and just couldn't pull it up in time because then he had equipment failures after that. And now he's situated all the way back here, 29th place on the racetrack, and with huge damage. Bob Berry also with a lot of damage as well.
Yeah, Berry actually jumped over his front nose down the front straightaway. That really severed off both the front ends essentially on the race cars. It's unfortunate for Michael Thorpe Jr. because he apparently had rescued a cat before the drivers' meeting, he had told admins tonight. And well, he's going to be able to spend time with that cat now, at least, to be able to pet it.
Boy, just a violent hit into the outside wall, and there you see Bob Berry leap over the front, and Berry's lucky that he didn't go into the outside wall. That prevents further damage to the right side of his car. It looked really close between there being contact with the 3 and that car just snapping on him.
Yeah, all from the contact, really. Just stabilized him in the middle of the corner.
Yeah.
You see right there, that second bump really didn't help, and just the overcorrection right back. Just was trying to fight it, and instead just absolutely decimated the car. We'll say, many of your leaders just came down pit road except for Dustin Ping. So only Ping is yet to come down for fuel.
Top 6 in total stay out. Dustin Ping, as you say, the only driver that has not been down pit road yet. Other drivers that have stayed out include Lacey, Osborne, Messenger, Foster, and Nick Nickerson. Over half the field, in fact, coming down to pit road this time, and several of these guys are taking tires.
Yeah, there's the first sets coming on to the cars at this point. Why not? Already spent almost 30 laps on them. So at this point, this is going to be the true test now on how the tires come into play, Nolan. Because for some of those before, it was a minor test because there's only like about 10 green flag laps in some of them. But for a lot of those aero drivers, they're talking about now upwards of 20 less green flag laps difference. That might see some major differences in the corners.
Boy, it's been a rough opening to this race here, and I'm too curious to see what the 4 tires are going to do, but I gotta be honest, I don't think they're going to do all that much, because I mean, yeah, we're 29 laps deep, but this is, again, whatever number caution we're on, we haven't gone more than 5 or 6 laps at any given point. I don't know how worn down the tires of other drivers are going to be at this point.
Yeah, at this point, it's going to be a bit of a mess to see where a lot of these drivers settle on out by the end of the night. But it's been some intense racing so far, and you have to be up on the wheel and very aware of what's going on. If you want to contend for the race win, it's pretty clear tonight, Nolan. You can't just go bide your time and just race along and log laps. No. You let your guard down even one little bit here in this race, you're just going to take it for a wide. And this is some of the more intense racing I've seen with this type of race car.
It's part of the nature of Autoglow Speedway, and also part of the nature of this car. I mean, it's part of why this league has been so adamant about moving away from the ARCA car pretty much the instant the season draws to a close. Not a lot of drivers are very keen on how this car drives. They're more just here for points at this rate. A lot of them are very, very eager to jump to a new car for the new season, which has kind of been a tradition at this point. Hop into a new car for every season that comes about, bring about a new challenge for the league, and I believe the challenge coming up for this coming season is going to be the brand new Gen 4 car that just saw its release this past iRacing build.
Yes, that's going to be an interesting time. Once again, we talked about different cars and different championships with this series. Know a lot of people were cheering "Let's go" when they got that announcement, though. We'll see how they fare out next season.
Nick Dickerson into the Geico restart zone. Green flag drops once again. We'll start lap 31 of 125, 95 laps still on the cards here this afternoon. Michael Ashworth quickly jumping on to be able to get out of everybody's way, and it's G of our teammates fighting side by side for the lead.
Yeah, so far, so intense so far. The teammates continue to control this race. Foster and Nickerson have just been able to slice and dice together and keep things stable. But all of this is wow. Those drivers on the fresh tires are about to see where those tires are able to take them here at this point.
Kevin Foster jumping down to the inside of the racetrack, trying to get around his teammate Nick Dickerson. You've also got John Osborne right back in the field. You've also got some 3Y behind them, looking for 4. Kyle Wellman way up by the wall. Jesse Gordon is in here as well. Sorry, that's Lacey up by the wall. Wellman's actually in the middle. And then Janet Hoff down to the low side. Michael Ramos making moves, getting squeezed in by Ethan Sikorsky. And the blockbuster 27 Mustang is forced to yield.
Yeah, at this point, this is like a traffic jam and a half, to say the very least, with the way they're racing. It's all about the proper lane choice. It's all about being able to navigate the traffic on your choices. If you were able to move on forward, at this point, the 27 of Ramos is in a terrible spot because the middle just doesn't have the speed down the straightaways. Yeah, you can make him grab in the corners, but that outside's been moving by the time you get down set straightaways to be able to make these passes. Full wide again.
This is not going to work for too long. Evidently, lessons have not been learned from the first several attempts that we've tried it. Well, we might have to go one more bout here as Passenger trying to look inside, wanting to make it a 3-way dogfight for the top spot. Nickerson clears his teammate up to the outside, and this time, Fox is going to opt to push. Oh, it looks like the teammates are capable of working together when they're threatened by an outside force like Bassinger and Gordon.
Yeah, right now, those drivers have been doing a good job on those sets of tires. Gordon, remember, once those are just took a set, highest out of those fresh, but he just got damaged. Hold on one second. Gordon just got rear-ended, and he's not going to be happy because his right rear is destroyed.
Big shot to the shorts for Jesse Gordon here as they come around through the front straightaway. And like you say, that right rear all crumpled in. Look at all that damage on the back end. That is not a good sight for Jesse Gordon. With how aero-dependent these race cars are at such an aero-dependent racetrack, that could be a huge difference maker. Even if it's not about speed, it will absolutely be about stability for him.
Car's not driving like it yet, but it will be once there's a more equalized tire set. You see right there, it's getting blistered on by on the straightaways with that damage right now. All he can do is just drive and see how the car handles. I don't think he realizes that that rear end is just about sheared off the race car. Others at the very least are willing to work with him though. That's his bright side.
Well, the two still maintaining the run up top, but former pole sitter Jesse Gordon is right there, and he is ready to party for the top spot. As well as that, the GW racing away. Whoa! Trouble back straight away and around. Gonna go David Lee to the inside. Big hits up in the middle of the field. Brian Dees caught right in the center of the racetrack. And yet another incident to put us under the caution flag on lap 36.
I mean, at this point, it's pick your poison on when you come down for tires or fuel. This doesn't seem like a race that's going to trend great, just with the way things are shaping up here, Nolan.
No, it is not. It has been a rough ride so far, and it is not a ride that is going to be easing up anytime soon. Let's start with David Lakey here. Kind of went for a bit of a lonely spin down to the inside. He was 3 wide, looked for 4. And he just got dumped by Kyle Wellman. Oh, but more importantly, Dustin Ping. Actually, sorry, David Lee with a lot of damage. I didn't even notice that because Ping ramped over the left front, and that whole left front's been torn to shreds. Yeah,
a lot of damage there picked up as a result. Brian D saying he could have reacted in time and apologized for all the damage right here. See the checkup because Lacey hit the wall. Wellman taking responsibility on the radio though, as Dees slides up, and that's where all the damage for some of the others got picked up on the correction.
Can't tell who that was that got into him, but yeah, Dustin Ping taking a bit of a wild ride as he hops over the left front of the car directly in front of him. So Ping going to be in a pit road with a lot of damage. He's got a meatball flag. Could this spell an end to his championship hopes? And there you saw it. It doesn't look like much, but it's long enough that he had to take a tow.
Yeah, majority of the field yet again coming on down, since we are just about at where original fuel window was going to be. At this point, some of the drivers also taking a second set of tires. Passenger just took a set despite already burning one, so the 15 is going to be very tight on said general tires the rest of the day here.
Well, the tire strategy is going to keep up on the aggression here as, boy, on the aggression, what am I talking about? The tire strategy is going to keep developing throughout the course of the race. It's not showing any signs of ceasing anytime soon. Right now, Dalton Kiro out on some of the oldest tires in the field, 19 laps old for the MFRD number 41 Chevrolet. Championship standings-wise, there's been some changes here. Michael Thorpe Jr. bumped down into the danger zone as a result. Jeremiah Hobbs could effectively see his championship hopes evaporate as a result. Dustin Ping in danger as well. He is within 6 points of Christopher Baster, and Baster's got room to make those 6 points up. Ping's got to get back on the racetrack and get some laps back, but right now, with him still stranded in the pit road, it's not happening anytime soon.
At this point, some of these drivers in the championship conversation going to have a very nervous time next time. Thorpe Jr., look at that. Look to be comfortable. We were talking about coming into tonight with the cut line. One bad night, and it's all disaster at this point. At this point, Dustin Ping not concerned about. He's been up and down the running order. Wyatt Walker is having a decent night despite being involved in one of the incidents, though, being up at the front of the field. If they're able to maintain track position now the rest of the evening, it's going to be a surefire way to make sure you're comfortable for Atlanta.
Yeah, Wyatt Walker with a very good opportunity to have to keep up the fight here. The only issue for Walker is he's about to kind of peak at what he can hope to achieve in terms of points this afternoon, because he does have Jesse Gordon as the only car he would need to overtake. But hey, jumping your way up from being towards the danger spot of the playoffs to being pretty secure up in second, that's not a bad day at the office considering there's only one race before that cutoff.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll say there's a lot of potential for things to change as the night goes on, but now Jesse Gordon gets the chance to lead this field. Looks like he's chosen the top and is ready to see if he's going to be able to make sure he stays up front after having to start at the back tonight.
Green flag set to come out once again. Lap 40 will try it once again as Jesse Gordon takes off in the restart zone. Dalton Kilroy able to anticipate the launch relatively well. Sikorsky hung out to dry on the inside. Wyatt Walker jumps up top. Dalton Kilroy is looking for the inside of the one, but Gordon covers him off.
Clean start, but all this is with all these drivers just try to settle it down. Zach Murray trying to make his way on through. For example, Kilroy getting swarmed a little bit though on the slightly older tires. Those older tires seem to be holding up fairly well for Kilroy, at least in terms of the track position game. Just is in the right lane for the draft game.
Gordon, Walker, Satmary, 1, 2, and 3. Single file. Ethan Sikorsky trying to disrupt that as he looks to go around the outside. Connie Gibson in number 31. Pushing up the race from the bottom side. So is Dalton Kilroy. Michael Ramos going to tuck in between the 94 and the 31. Jada Hop going to move up to the outside lane. Bit of an orderly start here. We got 2 solid lines, but a lot of smoke as Marwo's got kicked up entering turn number 3.
You know, these drivers getting very argy-bargy with the race cars, to say the very least, though. Got to make sure you don't get yourself too much pressure or put yourself in a box where you're going to have to break on through just to be able to survive. Right now, some of these drivers just do not want the chance to calm down. They aren't giving themselves the opportunity to just get into a rhythm. They want every spot now, now, now. They want track position now.
Racing is always about give and take, and right now it is all take and absolutely no give. But it does look like as the sun starts to creep closer and closer to the horizon, we are starting to see a bit of the action tapering off. Well, I say that, and that really means we're only going 3 wide tops instead of 4 and 5 wide down the straights, but we are seeing, I think, a change and a shift as drivers start to slowly realize, holy cow, we're talking over 80 laps to go. It's going to be a long night if we don't get our act together here.
Yeah, this field has to figure out a way to just survive as a group, because there's plenty of laps to go. We have had base square green flag runs not really last all too long here, maybe 10 laps at best so far tonight. Oh, they're going to risk it again. More 4 wide.
4x4 with pushers on the bottom of the top. Right now, Satmar and Rainbow's both stalling out in the middle. Working around in the turn numbers 3 and 4. Trying to get some track with the inside. Oh, look out. Rainbow's in the outside wall. Got caught up there as he made contact. They're able to mostly gather it up. Everybody scrambles. Will keep it green. And yet again, near disaster for playoff drivers.
That was very sketchy once again, to say the very least. In the middle of the field, Ramos getting bounced around. They're very lucky, no caution flag. At this point, the field is really pushing its luck. We'll say things are getting chippy on the radio. Sikorsky trying to find a way to get this race lead. Right now, Gordon's been playing this very well in the clean air, the best out of anybody.
Jesse Gordon continuing to hold clear at the top end of the field. Sikorsky and Walker will exchange blows with second and third. That's a bit of a close squeeze there from Wyatt Walker. Sikorsky's able to slip through back down on the inside line, although he's going to opt to tuck in behind the number 71 instead. But Wyatt Walker playing with some fire there as he tries to get into the number 2 spot.
Yeah, right now just trying to find his way, slipping his way forward. Jaden Hop's done a good job being able to cut his way back up front again. Yet again, back and forth with the running order. We'll say keep an eye on Sean Williams as well. He has been cutting his way through the newer tires with Kevin Foster. Those two, the highest out of those who pit previously a couple cautions ago, with Williams taking the top off, but Foster getting fresh General tires, making them work here in the middle of the corner.
Jaden Hop trying to go to the inside for the lead as he's going to go down the inside of Jesse Gordon. Gordon swings all the way up to the top, and Jaden Hop able to clear him. But a quick crossover over and under for Jesse Gordon down the back straightaway, and quickly Gordon will retake the lead courtesy of a push from Wyatt Walker into turn 3.
Good battling, all you can really say at this point. Just trying to get the bottom to roll in the middle of the corners, but yet again, it's about just drafting game, right? Be able to pick the line, be able to choose what you want to do, and go from there. We've seen right now Gordon knows how to choose, likes to feed draft to those at the bottom so the top line doesn't get it. Just hooked it a little bit too much though, that rear end starting to step out.
Back end kicking out as they go 2x2 all the way down to the turn numbers 3 and 4, and I think we're starting to see the aggression picking up now that the sun has started to dip behind the billboards. I think that was kind of what was keeping the field at bay. Right was the sun blinding them coming off of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Now that it's dipping, though, behind the horizon, they're free to battle with full visibility.
At this point, Hobbs kind of made himself known as one of the major threats for the race win. Now the night's gone on his ability to be able to manage traffic. It's been like Gordon's, very efficient, but also very good on the passing attempt so far in that 0-0. We'll say.
Oh, look out! Hold on! Jesse going around hard to the outside wall. He's going to take it to Sikorsky with him. Spins her down the racetrack. Caution finally comes out. And that looked like he lost that by himself.
I don't think he lost himself. I think it's because Foster hit the wall again, and it caused a second incident where Foster hit a wall and the next driver behind him just snapped around because of the checkup. They hit him and it caused the car to spin, Nolan.
We'll take a look at the Green Flag TV replay here, coming back down to the turn numbers 3 and 4. And you see Jesse Gordon. Kevin Foster is the number 8 car right in front of him. GFR Racing number 8. And you saw Foster catch the wall. That checked him up. And Jesse Gordon, you're right, went right into the back of him, and the car started the fishtail. He tagged Sikorsky, and they just get hooked together. They can't get separated, and they both take some pretty hard hits into the wall. This is just salt in the wounds for Gordon.
You're talking about a driver that had to fight back from an EOL penalty just to get back in position in the first place. Now the car has heavy, heavy damage. He is going to be absolutely livid with the way tonight's gone, to say the very least, in the Batmobile. Sikorsky just had no place to go, and absolute decimation for the both of them across this racetrack.
Sikorsky, an innocent bystander in that deal. Once again, several drivers will hit pit road. Top 7 will all opt to stay out. Now, we're a good bit into that run there. Some drivers are thinking tires.
Yeah, yet again, being able to take a fresh set. Believe some drivers are taking some damage repair, like Corcel took an extra 3 seconds in the pit box. But at this point, may as well take them while you have them. We already are at about, my math is a little bit off, maybe a third of the way plus through. But we still have the math where you would have at least maybe a one-stopper to go the rest of the way at minimum. And that's if it was to go green, which at this point, it's still a pattern of a caution every 10 to 15 laps.
Jada Hopp leads the way. Kevin Foster, the catalyst of this latest caution, will start to his outside. Really quickly here, before we go back to Green Flag Racing, going to quickly thank the guys that keep the lights on here for this race of the High Tide Racing Guardian Premier Series. Ohio and Indiana Roofing is a premier roofing contractor. They're a sister company to the Bruns Construction Enterprise, specializing in commercial and industrial roofing, and are committed to accommodating the unique needs of each client, along with offering creative solutions to meet those needs. They're a team of individuals who work for the same common goals: professionalism, quality, and service. Services they offer include preventative maintenance, re-roof/new construction, infrared scanning, green roof solutions, metal retrofitting, emergency repair services, and more. Visit www.oiroofing.com for more information. That is www.oiroofing.com for more information. Well, Justin, I kind of mentioned it earlier, right, about the iRacing pace car. I'm sure he's glad he's got sunglasses on because of how this race has gone. Do you reckon he's starting to feel the fatigue yet from driving out here for so much?
I don't think so. The pace car is very resilient when it comes to its ability to just stay there.
It sure is. He will be out there driving any time of day, rain or shine, fog or clear. He's been doing a valiant job facing the HTRL field here this afternoon. Top 7 have stayed out. Older tire runners include Hop and Satmary. Everyone else 14 laps older than drivers that just came down. One driver did offer fuel only. It's Sean Williams.
Yeah, that's put him in a decent spot track position-wise yet again on the rotation. See what happens off this restart.
Refly back in the air this time by as Jaden Hopp takes off. Field starting to head on down towards turn numbers 1 and 2. Satmary, passenger side by side along with the GFR teammates. Lacey, bit of no man's land. A bit of a gap opening up actually between Lacey and Sean Williams go right behind. But with the draft, I'm sure that's going to close in down the back straightaway here.
Yeah, I absolutely think so as well at this point. Just with how much pole you've seen all night long and where teamwork has been pretty successful in being able to make some of these moves. It's been almost like Talladega-esque in some of the way these moves have been done tonight.
Oh.
Just to be able to make the way front. There's scraping going on as they follow the leader in the train.
Kyle Wellman caught the wall and he actually had some help. Connor Gibson pushing him up and into the fence that time by. Coming out of turn number 4. Once again, it's all take and it's no give. Satmary wash over the inside of those tires. Wellman dooring off of him all the way down onto the apron. He's able to gather it up.
Very lucky once again. Wellman's been all over the racetrack tonight. It just seems like tonight has not been his night in terms of keeping it clean. Bouncing off several drivers, but now, at the very least, able to recover some of the positions pretty quickly amongst this top 10, all while the 2 get shuffled out.
Three by on the approach to turn numbers 1 and 2. As Sean Williams tracks up to the outside, John Osborne right behind, catches the outside wall as well. Wellman trying to go up the middle line as Lacey will retain his speed down low. Carter Phillips, the BC Simsport driver, very slowly started to reel his way back into the mix. And once again, Kyle Wellman trying to drive through the field.
Able to recover a little bit from the bounce around, but Benjamin Lacey all night has been trying to punch his way through this traffic. He's the one next to him at the moment. Some of these drivers have just been resilient in their comeback ability, back and forth. The talent has been there. Just find the holes and find the right lanes just to carve your way through.
Fresh tires working out to Wellman's advantage, trying to maybe go with Tanner Marr down to the inside there, as Marr also on even footing when it comes to the tire strategies. Meanwhile, up front, Jaden Hopp once again side by side for the lead with Kevin Foster. And Hopp looking to pull away down the front straightaway, coming back into turn number 1. Marr looking to take it 3 wide down low. I haven't talked about Marr too much today. He has been very slowly creeping his way up and around. Gonna go playoff contender, Bastard into the wall. One car upside down, it's Larry Bell.
Oh, Bell all over the racetrack. Very lucky he didn't get hit by Jeremiah Hobbs just now. And this field has just continuously decimated itself. Nickerson's going the wrong way down the racetrack, trying to back up and get to the racetrack without turning around.
There we go. I think it was just trying to maybe get it turned around without getting up into traffic. I don't know what was going on there, but again, we'll slow her down and take a look. And this, a violent ride for Larry Bell, who goes upside down, and he got hit several times as he came down the racetrack.
Yeah, right there, just missed the groove. Just couldn't get the car to stick. And that just entirely stacks up the outside with the majority of the field up there. No place for them to go in the response time.
Wow, that car went for a ride as Bell came down the racetrack, and Jeremiah Hobbs just sneaks around him. And the inertia going to bring the number 43 back around onto all fours.
Pure calamity has been the name of the game here. Yeah, at this point, 15 was just trying to run the line a little bit lower than some of the others to try and feed cleaner to the front nose. Larry Bell just got squeezed, absolutely squeezed. Big save by the 3 to avoid.
We'll take a look at that in just a moment. We got a lot of cars down pit road, though, understandably. So no surprise on the massive cars that are coming down pit road with that crash. That's what, 4th different big one of the night now?
At least. We're running out of clean race cars here. We're not even halfway yet, Nolan, by the way. We've been racing for an hour plus, and it's been continuously caution after caution.
At this rate, I'm starting to get worried we're not going to have anybody left by the end of this race. Ryan Walker, Jeremiah Hobbs, the first 2 out. Walker taking field only. Hobbs taking 2 tires, I think. He only was in the box for 11.6 seconds. That's too fast for a field only stop, but it's too quick for that to have been a 4-tire stop as well.
Yeah. And there is the joke on the radio that people are doing a lot better than some of the others right now. Tanner Marthaly's getting a chance to lead some laps tonight. Usually someone that at least on Sundays doesn't get the chance to be up at the front too often, but he does have teammates here to work with, like Kyle Wellman, to control this field. Just 4 drivers stay out of this entire caution period.
Let's take another look back, and we'll ride on board with the helmet camera of Jeremiah Hobbs. The Midwest Motorsports driver now sits 13th, and once again, probably saving his race and his playoffs. He was well back in the field and had ample time to react, and even then, still nearly piled into this wreck. As you see it all develop up in front, and then watch the wheel work. Oh, I actually think he caught the grass on the way down when he hit the brakes, and that's what shot him sideways.
Yeah. My goodness, is all you can really say. See what this field does here for this restart. It's been a rough one in terms of cautions. We'll say, let's compare this to the last time we ran here. Because you said there is caution precautions then. Last time we were here, we ran with 10 cautions. We're on track to beat that, so there's a positive.
I don't think that's the record you want to be beating.
I was trying to be positive, you can tell.
It's one of those nights, isn't it? It's like
cautions, precautions. The pace car is going to lead the most laps.
I had the opposite problem last night with the For the Boys racing league, where we had Aaron Smith lap the whole field twice. We had the opposite problem, where there wasn't enough going on to keep the field tightly packed together in that race.
Yeah, it was an interesting one, to say the least, at Pocono, too. We'll get a recap. Yes, where it's about, I can't remember most of what happened. All I know is it was a bit of a chaotic run for much of the race.
Sit rep on the field. 31 cars started, 20 remain, 19 on the lead lap. Green flag coming back out into the air. Tanamar gets the jump. And once again, the green flag comes out with only a third of the field left, as we are only 2 or 3 laps away from halfway.
Technically, it's a third of the field out of the race. It's the rest of the pack that's looking to see if they survive. 5 Kings looking to see if they can stay King me. With the rest of this field getting slimmed down a fair bit, with a lot of the drivers that have been battling aggressive getting shaved out just before halfway.
Wyatt Walker started to slip backwards. He's caught in the middle of 3 wide here in the field, trying to get this sorted here. Connor Gibson up on his inside. Walker just going to find a hole to tuck in line. Still up front, Tanamar holding a 0.2 of a second gap. Kyle Wellman sitting right behind him, and Wellman now looking to try and close up and fight his way up and around.
Yeah, right now, not concerned about how the racing share of the 2 teammates at this point. It takes a little bit of pressure off. It's like we've seen earlier on with the 2 teammates who let things up at the front of the field. You can just pace yourself, you can control the pack, be able to withstand the draft pressure. It's so hard to pass 2 cars with this package, let alone break them up. We'll say Wellman try to protect the bottom here, see if they can get a drop swap maybe. But the way they're driving, gonna have to be careful. This could break up that rhythm they had as teammates here. And that's exactly what I feared if you were electing not to play the teammate game. You lose the teammate game, and you give it a kill roll instead.
Kilrow going to try to help out Tanamar on top, trying to punch a hole through to the front of the field. Not going to happen, though. Kyle Wellman sweeping up at the bottom and just arrow pushes Kilrow all the way to the racetrack. Kilrow breaks the deadlock as he fires down the inside of the D-oval and headed down to turn number 1. Kilrow still with that inside groove, but Wellman doing a good job on playing rear gun to support for the 44 car up front.
Yeah, Kilrow, remember, part of those of MFRD. Highest running of that team, obviously, with Marasco and Dees having horrific nights with how things have gone out. You have some of the drivers we haven't talked about, though, like Carter Phillips. Slowly but surely, 21 spots gained. He's amongst those that stayed out some of these caution periods and is doing a solid job. Look at the biggest movers. He is your big mover on the night. Tanamar 19 up.
Walker also up 18. Those are the three kind of biggest ones. Of course, Michael Ashburn and Mike Massengill more picking up spots just as the attrition has fallen into place over the course of the afternoon. They're both actually kind of running by themselves way deep in the field here, just in a two-car scrap. And you got to remember, Massengill up 13 is even more impressive. Oh, hold on, get back to that in a moment as Connor Gibson way up the racetrack at turn 4. A bit of contact as they were 4 wide. They gathered it up, but remember, Massengill was spun sideways earlier this race. He actually got slapped with the DOL penalty for that spin, and now up 13 regardless, just from the attrition alone.
Yeah, I still think this is going to move around a fair bit as the night goes on, just with the nature of this race. It's just going to be the question, as the lights get ready to turn on here, will we start to get extended runs here? That's been the challenge all night long, is getting past that 15-lap mark. I think if we get past that, we can get starting to spread apart a little bit, get the field calmed down, and then can start thinking about the fuel strategy for then on out. With the way this race is shaped up, though, easier said than done. I will say, only 14 cars in the lead pack kinda is a part of the calming method.
It is to an extent, right? I mean, yeah, they're still going at it here. They're all, well, they're not quite beating them. Oh, never mind, no, they are! Jaden Hopkins turned on the back straightaway, and how about that? He pulls it back underneath him. A wild over Hop as he nearly went around, courtesy of the BC Simsport driver right behind him.
I think he just trying to clear himself in front of Carter Phillips, parking in front, realized last moment, I'm not going to be clear, trying to cut himself back to the left. But it got hooked on the nose. Watch this once again. This is part of the lane choice yet again, where Hop tried to make the pass in the first place. And this is a matter of inches, where if you time this up right, you can clear. You can see the intent was there, but right there realizes I'm not going to be clear. Does a good job holding on to it, and he's still battling it out.
Very impressive job from Jaden Hobb to clear that one up. Meanwhile, Kyle Wellman is finally starting to attack his teammate Tanner Marr because Dalton Kilroy is right behind him and ready to push. We are now in to the back half of this race. The sun still has not yet fully set behind the palm trees on the back straightaway. Oh, Kilroy hitting the turn number 1 hard into the outside wall. Takes out Carter Phillips with him. Don't think we'll get a caution for that one, but a brutal wreck into the outside wall for both.
How is that not a caution flag? I'm not sure. We'll say they didn't go around 45 degrees. Yet again, incidents continue to stack up here. Kilroy is absolutely decimated.
Just keeps going bad to worse for the driver, the number 41. Take a look at this one here as they come down the front straightaway. You kind of look like Phillips just ran him over, but I'm going to reserve full judgment. Okay, well, Phillips definitely got into him, but you can't, I don't know. I think that's just a bunch of lines coming together into one, and it just didn't work. Gibson was pushing Phillips into the back of Dalton Kilroe. Then Kilroe had to stack up for a car crossing his nose, and they were just kind of left with nothing to go and nothing to do about it.
Yeah, and at this point, that puts us down to just 17 on the lead lap, give or take. And of that, only 12 are in the main pack. We are running low on race cars all of a sudden. It's because of all those big ones here tonight.
It's not a statement I expected to be hearing. Well, let me rephrase. I expected to hear the statement. I did not expect to hear that statement with 55 laps to go, which I think it goes to show just how brutal this opening portion of this race was. And the whole factor of where this shakes up in the championship standings is massive. Justin Ping and Michael Thorpe Jr., two of the heavy hitters in the playoffs, right? They were both safe in the Final Four. They are both out. Christopher Bassinger is 14 laps down as well. And the other drivers, you got 5 of them still in the top 10. And one of them I don't think is here tonight. So talk about a massive shakeup for those championship standings.
Yeah, and now we're starting to get to the point where we might not see as much of a shakeup unless there's precautions again. Walker, we talked about doing the right job, but that cut line difference is so slim just because of how well Gibson has raced this run tonight. Seems to be putting himself in the perfect spot to be able to keep shuffling. And one pass alone is enough to change the whole complexion of things, just with how tight it's been with some of these drivers up in the front.
You look at the live standings up on the top right. Dustin Ping right now only 2, make that 3 points now clear of the cut line. He is tied with Wyatt Walker as a result of being pushed out of this race. Connor Gibson, meanwhile, is still trying to fight his way through. Gibson is in this leading pack. So Gibson and Walker have a chance to potentially jump him here. Same story for Jeremiah Hobbs, who is also still in the race.
Yeah, right now, Hobbs, I think, can put himself back in the conversation. I think he's just trying to ride and buy this time a little bit rather than force the issue after some of the bounce arounds earlier on tonight. I think everybody else at this point has to figure out a way to stay in this league group. Do not lose the draft. Do not make major mistakes. Do not overexert the aggression to cost yourself all sorts of spots, or better yet, all the track position. You have to be smart at this point forward as they fight up front.
Kyle Wellman trying to attack Benjamin Lacey for the race lead here this afternoon, and I have a thought. I don't want to say the thought though, Justin, because of how bad my luck with the commentator's curse has been this last little while. I think even just thinking it is starting to make this pick up a little bit, so I'm going to hold my tongue for now. We'll get back and get single file again. How about that? Kyle Wellman to the lead up front. Kevin Foster in second. Benjamin Lacey down to the inside. John Osborne, Connor Gibson, top and bottom. Gibson started to slip further back in the field. I think he's been trying to open up that outside line, and it just hasn't been working for him tonight.
Yeah, it hasn't. The way things have shaped up. At this point, though, gotta just pick where the options are opening up and hope for the best if you want the lane choices. We are at that point where I was expecting things to get single filed out for the most part, though. Bit of a park of the bus. Benjamin Lacey finally to the front.
Lacey, the season 1 champion, to the point of the race. Benjamin Lacey, again, taking that inaugural championship all the way back at the start of 2024. The question for Lacey, is this finally his time to drive all the way back to the front and try again? Oh, lap traffic in the way! That's going to cause an upset there. Ty Marasco staying to the outside. He's making it easy for cars to get around. He was being predictable, but you still saw drivers like Kyle Wellman nearly run into the back of him, trying to carry as much traffic as they can to use him as a pick.
Yeah, right now, doing a good job cutting their way through said traffic for the most part. At this point, though, you have to soon think about when are you going to pit here, Nolan. that's the tough thing as these drivers get themselves sorted is what are they going to do to make sure they can get to that fuel mark.
Oh, hold on. Kevin Foster with a big step out on the front straightaway as he tried to make a lunge on Wellman. It didn't, I don't know what the heck happened. That car suddenly like shot to the left, entering turn one. Might have tried to look for position much like he is now and maybe misjudged it a little bit. Further behind, Nicholas Coruscant trying to shove Wyatt Walker past Tanner Marr and more to get him towards the front.
All sorts of squabbling is what you would expect at this point with this type of racing. But again, I keep on having to repeat myself, Nolan, but it feels like it's important to say. Top of the line, corner exit, get in the single file line. If you get to the top, you can make a pass if you stay there by the corner exit. Some drivers, I think, are starting to clutch and coast a little bit, though. In the heart of the field, with how close these fuel marks may start to get for a couple drivers here with that 80% fuel tank.
Walker trying to go up the middle. Tanner Marr and Coruscant debating on, oh boy, going at this one. And you just saw a big lighting change. The stadium lights have officially kicked on over the Auto Club Speedway. And this race officially a night race as declared by iRacing, as we'll be racing into the suns from here on out. Walker again pressuring the inside of Osborne, but Osborne just able to slip clear with the side draft.
Right now, very curious how this is going to work out on the markers. I know a couple people might be very concerned with this fuel. Thought is, with the last caution, they can make it. The thing is, not too many people are at that range per se where they went in last caution. There's some people that are going to be outside the fuel mark by a couple laps at least. This could get very chaotic here pretty quickly in the fuel mileage game with the pit stop window opening up on the next few laps.
Battles still continue elsewhere, all the way up and down throughout the racetrack as what a fight that this field has been putting through the ringer here this afternoon. Several drivers are kind of feeling down and out this afternoon as Lacey and Foster will go at it 1 and 2. Trying to maybe work together, open up a gap, and I think this is about the tamest this field has gotten all night long, which is saying a lot considering they're still looking to go 3 wide just about every single lap.
Yeah, some of these drivers do at the very least because you want to be the leader. You don't want to be a person in 5th or 6th, especially at the finish of the race. So at this point, I think it's people just trying some things, getting a little bit impatient, not wanting to just play the lane game. We'll say Lacey's starting to break away from the rest of this pack, though. That's the big thing. This is the first time we've seen a leader start to actually run away here.
By the way, some information coming in from Dalton Kilrow in our YouTube chat here, reporting in that anybody that pitted under the latest caution flag is likely able to make it to the end of the race. So that kind of puts it into a different complexion. It's not so much fuel, it's going to be tires that drivers are going to be battling.
And we've seen drivers make older tires work here tonight. Still want to take the set just in case for the cornering speed, especially since it helps a little bit, even with it being a good drafting battle here. You still have to make sure you're able to choose right on how you play this tire strat. Wouldn't be surprised if we just see people just take the tires to get it over with rather than risking just a simple stop because of how much fuel you need to put in the car in general. It's the amount of pit delta time you'll have.
Oh, hold on. Nicholas Coruscant with a big step out of turn numbers 3 and 4. That car was starting to go around on him, able to wrangle it back underneath him. Right aboard to the carousel. This is coming off of turn number 4 here. We'll back that up one more time. Try again. I don't know, maybe I'm going insane, or maybe it's because I'm looking at something completely unrelated, and this was several laps ago. The point is, he had a big step out on the inside. He had an impressive save, but...
Hold on 1 second, we have pit stops.
Right
40 laps to go. They only made it 35 laps, Nolan. That is huge.
Tanamar, Kyle Wellman, the two drivers that were working together a good chunk of this race earlier on, are going to be the two to bail first to the pits. And all of a sudden, it's a game of chicken as to when everybody else wants to come down to pit road. We have heard on occasion the very odd clutch and coast from various drivers in that leading pack. So that shows some drivers are starting to play the fuel game a little bit.
I think they've been having to play the field game the past 20 laps, absolutely, because of how close the margins are. If 35 laps, as far as some of these people can go, it is borderline for some of these teams at this point. Connor Gibson had to come down. He was 36 laps into a fuel run, had to fuel on down, take the bullet. But at this point, everybody else I think is good by 3 laps, give or take, and that's being positive with the caution laps, including with the previous runs. For those who stayed out, they did not win in the roulette game, and this is their reward, where if it stays green now the rest of the way, Nolan, well, you're talking about pit stops with less than 5 to go.
So the battles are going to continue, and it's all going to go down to pit strategy now as Nicholas Coruscant try to tuck in behind Jesse Gordon. And that might explain why we're starting to see a lot of drivers here starting to get a little bit more twitchy on trying to remain in line. It's all a fuel-saving game at this point. But once we hit that mark where they're good to go, these guys are going to be fully unleashed, and one caution now is going to change the whole complexion of this race in a massive way.
Absolutely. It would absolutely burn the bridges of those who just had to pit too. Mind you, that have already lost the lap because of it. And mind you, the fall off has been only about, at best, 0.8 of a second tonight. That is not a lot of fall off for those in the main pack, mind you. So they're not going to get the lap back unless everybody pits and then they get the caution flag to be lucky themselves. So this could get interesting, to say the very least, as these drivers try and stretch the run.
So far, Benjamin Lacey will have Kevin Foster behind him. He has found a lap car in the form of Brian Dees to try and get a little bit of draft from him. It's not much, but those little bits can be the big deciding factors in how races like these ones pan out. John Osborne still sitting up here as well. Scott Shire back in the pack as well. And you talk about these guys, and some of them will be going 36 laps on a stint. Well, we're at about 36 to go, so realistically, if you pit anywhere between now and the next 6 laps, you can go the distance.
Yeah, at this point, seeing Massagill, once those in, he was in the other pack, mind you. Hearing Jeremiah Hobbs is coming down. Foster next time by has indicated a pit stop. So the wave of stops is about to heat up here, Nolan, as they are just out the window now. Some of the drivers only going 32.
And I'm still hearing drivers in this leading pack putting in the clutch and coasting. There goes Tanamar blitzing by the leaders on fresh tires. John Osborne trying to go with, and in fact, Osborne trying to make a look to the inside of Kevin Foster. That's a dangerous move for Osborne, considering Foster just said, hey, I'm pitting this time by. Same for Kyle Wellman. That has now forced Foster to check up right in the middle of the pack, although he is going to make it in cleanly without collecting anybody else.
And I believe he just got below the speed limit in time as well. Nicely done, but be able to find the hole and get the job done for the pit stop. But this is going to be a bit more chaotic for some on how they approach this pit lane. This lead pack is really spread apart. Benjamin Lacey on the radio this time.
Kevin Foster is still situated in pit row. Brian Dees has just come down this time by as well. Keith Lee on his way out of pit road. Here comes the race leader. Benjamin Lacey finally bails from the top, and he's going to be into pit road now. This is right on the cusp of him being able to make it. He is just about to go into his 34th lap, and he is also just about to take 33 to go. So Lacey has split this stint perfectly down the middle.
Now, we'll see how far they can get. It should be interesting if we get to green white checker territory. More pit stops expected coming up here, though. This race has taken a strategic turn, and all these pit stops going to turn what was a pack race into little mini packs the rest of the way. Hop trying to send it, might have just got speeding. He was close to it.
I think he just got away with that, not showing any black flag markers on my event recorder, so he has just barely managed to get down to the pit road speed in time. Scott Shire has come down as well, just behind this grouping. And Hop, borderline, almost pushing John Osborne down the racetrack, slides into his stall. That angles him perfectly now for a pit exit, because he doesn't have to worry about turning in potentially now. He can just slam the throttle and go.
Have to be very quick at this point. 71-69 coming in this time by as the double zeros off and away. Pit window coming to a close, it looks like, and this is already going to be an interesting one, and who's going to be cycled up front, or should I say cycle behind Marin Wellman on this racetrack with how things are looking.
The problem here, right, Tanner Kyle Wellman, 5 flat bolted tires, so not only are they going to be slower, but they are not safe on fuel, or at least we do not believe they are safe on fuel. They might need to come down one more time. That said, they are not clutching coasting, so maybe they got something figured out, or maybe they decided to pit really early, get the top of the field, whereas everyone else is out to just split it in half.
Yeah. Not too sure, but it does give a 2-second buffer on the racetrack. We'll see how long this lasts. Again, I don't think the numbers are there for them to make it to the end on gas, just with the way those stints just played out with 34, 36 laps apiece. We'll say Jeremiah Hobbs in a decent spot here. If they can hold on after playing the cautious game all race long, this 3-car now could be in a prime position to thrive if they're able to hold back someone like Lacey.
Jeremiah Hobbs is making an effort to try and close in on the top 2 contenders up at the very head of this field here. And in fact, if we compare the lap times this last time by, that's a 4.5 of a second gain on lap 95. Jeremiah Hobbs is really in these guys really, really quickly. They are not going to be able to maintain that gap until the end of this race.
Yes, indeed. We'll say, as things go on, you have a lot of shuffling going on in that air pack going on behind them here, Nolan. Look at what's happening behind them as they reach lap traffic here. You have Jaden Hopp and company getting sliced and dicey. You have some of those like Osborne and that getting sliced and dicey. This traffic can actually play a bit of a factor here with where they're reaching some of this as Ashmore just decides to lift down the straightaway to let people go.
I think Ashmore is more just here thinking, you know what, I'm walking away with good points. I'm up 16 spots. Why jeopardize that racing playoff contenders? I'm just going to back out and watch the fireworks as Gibson and Jaden Hobb going to go side by side. They make contact in turn 4, and Gibson going to go around the outside of the double zero, trying to clear in turn 1, but Jaden Hobb with a big arrow push from Osborne gets him back into the opening corner.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit chippy. This could get dangerous with some of these crossovers we're seeing with Foster again. See him bounce around a couple times off some of these walls. Oh, this is going to be with Kevin Foster, one of the drivers that's looked pretty fast today. Only 3 laps led, shockingly, though, despite having track position a majority of the night.
So Tanner Marr and Kyle Wellman set to make a big lunge coming up and around here into turn numbers 1 and 2 as Wellman looking to push up with Marr towards the head of the field. Further behind them, oh, look out, Foster's into the wall. Coruscant nearly tracking direct up in him. That could have been disastrous. Oh, and again, Coruscant trying to clear himself, but Gibson was there, and now Gibson had got put into the wall.
Yeah, not sure what was going on with Coruscant there, trying to sort himself out. Now he's nearly hitting the back end of Gibson. He's just destroying both of their momentums here without the side draft force. The better play at this point would be to reset, stay in a line. Gibson's on older tires, yeah, but they are starting a battle for what could be the net race lead here. Hobbs losing ground up topside.
Ground continuing to be lost while Tanner Marr and Kyle Wellman try as they may. They have been unable to break away at the front of the pack here as Hobbs, Lacey, and Moore, oh boy, keep having their moments. Benjamin Lacey still pushing to the back of the number 3. They are single file, and right now everyone is trying to run down the top 2 so they can all have a chance to battle this one out for the win by the end.
Absolutely here. They are starting to really trim down that gap fast to the 44 and the 42. At this rate, they're going to catch them. Believe the 7 is clutch and coasting, though. Just turned a lot of roll center. So there is still concern about making it even with the pass for the net lead here.
Jeremiah Hobbs goes around the top. Watch the RPMs on Benjamin Lacey's car. Yep, that's a clutch, all right. All the way down to 1,100 RPMs. Benjamin Lacey is putting in the clutch on corner entry. He is not safe on fuel.
Yeah, I think much of the field is still touch and go on it. This is going to be a very tight race on fuel margins. Fuel margin, should say. By the end of this run, as they are now in drafting distance to the race leaders, this should be pretty quick with the tire difference.
Jeremiah Hobbs right now in prime position to battle it out for what would be his first ever High Tide Racing League win of his career. Whereas Jaden Hopp trying to see if he cannot go out here and wrangle yet another win under his belt as well. Jaden Hopp chasing his 10th win of his career. He would be only the 3rd driver to double digits in HTRL history, and he has just overtaken Jeremiah Hobbs with a net race lead. Now Tanner Marr, the lone car up the road before that lead is officiated.
Marr is going to get swallowed up very fast here with that corner speed. At this point, has to just let it happen. Can't force the block. Going to be coming down this back straightaway likely with the crossover attempt from Hopp. That's time to get through here.
There goes Jaden Hopp to the inside. He's going to look to maybe pull someone with him. No one's actually really going for it, though. Remember, Lacey is still saving fuel, so he can't go with them. And Jeremiah Hobbs is trying to make his ground the long way around turn numbers 3 and 4. So Jaden Hopp will solo clear for the lead ahead of Tanner Marr. Marr slips up. Marr, Hobbs, and Wellman all went into the outside wall that time by Marr. Pulls down in front of Benjamin Lacey. And Jeremiah Hobbs still struggling to find a way to get through.
Yeah, still cannot pick the right line here. He's in a terrible line. In fact, he is losing ground because the dirty air has to reset quickly. 20 laps to go at the stripe. This second half of the race has breezed on by after it trickled before.
Again, just like what has happened in every... Oh, boy, a hard hit into the wall for Tanner Marr. This has been the rhythm of every single Auto Club Racing League history. It starts with carnage. We take out about a third to half the field, And then the back third to back half usually runs pretty darn smoothly. That has been the case, heck, for just a lot of races in general this season. Well, with these ARCA cars being as draft heavy as they are. But with 19 laps to go at the line, this race still looking set to be a bit of a good one. Kyle Wellman has just come down pit road, and that makes it official. Tanamar cannot go the distance.
This is not a shock, like I was saying. It was a gamble hoping for the caution flag. And that's the thing. One caution difference is all it makes for them on fuel marks. And they go from potentially contending to being completely out of the equation here. At this point, we'll see what happens with it being about a 6-car chance for the win if it stays green, with them still having a clutching close here. A Cobbs amongst those who is going to be least comfortable. Osborne, I think, is going to be some of the most more comfortable because they went further in that initial run last time.
Right now, Osborne and Jaden Hopp are the drivers that came down the latest. They are pretty much good to go. But if Benjamin Lacey, who only pitted 1 lap behind, is having a clutching coast, so is Nicholas Coruscant, and so is Jeremiah Hobbs, and Kevin Foster also not safe in this field. The margins on field are going to be unbelievably tight in the closing stages here of this one. But we do have as well, it's coming up on Green Flag TV. It might also be some tight margins at the Beer League race in Suzuka this coming Wednesday afternoon, as the Beer League gets set to see the Super Formula Lights return to home country. Average Simmons League Ultimate, a tight battle for the championship. They are going down to their final race at the Homestead Miami Speedway this coming Thursday, alongside the Highline Diecast Collectible Speed Cup Series at Bristol Motor Speedway for a 300-lap run. And then a triple header on Saturday with the FTR Events Trophy.ai GT Endurance Series out in France at Mangicourt. The Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series will be out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for twin double headers at the road course. And then SRA also take it to Miami that same evening for round number 5. All that and more still yet to come up over the next week or so here on the network. But right now, there's still a field game very much at play. And Jaden Hopp starting to maybe wonder, do I really want to be leading all these laps up front, not able to save any gas?
Yeah, right now, that is a huge gamble because you burn more without that help at the draft. But the thing is, if you don't lead right now, you might not get the chance to later on, just with the way the tires are on the long run. It's so difficult to pass after being such like a super speedway early on. I'm not really sure what exactly the play could be here. It's so touch and go. It's still 15 to go, though, and here comes Osborne.
John Osborne's done saving. He's going to try to make a move for it. Nicholas Coruscant takes him 3 wide into turn number 1. Lacey backs up at the top. He's going to try to slip in right behind John Osborne here, coming off at turn numbers 1 and 2. So the driver's going to be caught side by side as they work down the back straightaway. Behind them, Jeremiah Hobbs still in the fray as well as he tries to see what he can do. And Nicholas Coruscant going to jump to the lead up front.
That was all of a sudden for Coruscant. I didn't put him in the book to jump to the front, but hey, just got to charge his way on through. He's amongst those on the same strategy as Osborne. All these drivers pretty similar on strategy, should say at this point. But Coruscant amongst those who has bounced off some cars tonight. We'll see what the 40 can do, as Hopp now has a person draft off of.
Coruscant was, of course, a driver that was very consistent in the regular series season. He was unfortunate enough to be knocked out of the round of 12, but despite his consistency, he has only 1 podium to his name from July at the sister track to Auto Club, the Michigan International Speedway. Could this be the night where Coruscant takes win number 1 and what will be his 20th start of his HTRL career?
Has to play the cards right now with the different lanes, and right now he's got to remember some of these drivers are holding back a bit to make sure they are good to go to the end. Coruscant making it clear he's not. He's topped off 12 times, or come down at least 12 times into pit road. That's second most in the race.
I'm not even too surprised that Jaden Hobb dropped behind Nicholas Coruscant. I think Jaden Hobb kind of realizes he's burning up all this fuel in the lead. He might need to do a bit of saving as well. He can do so now that he's tucked behind Coruscant. Kind of force another car out in front to take the lead, right? These are the tactics that we also see at tracks at Daytona, like Talladega. But the difference here, you kind of chuck it in a lot deeper into these corners since you do actually have to lift a little bit coming through these turns. And it's the same idea in practice, but very different in execution.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so difficult to be able to time up how these runs can play out in the first place. The longer we go. Right now with 11 laps to go, Hobb is kind of just putting himself in position to think, where am I going to be able to go? When am I going to be able to force something here? Am I going to get my nose chopped off when I make this move? At this point, it's getting harder and harder to differentiate even the lane choices here to be able to actually get a chance to go side by side outside the front straightaway.
Only 17 cars remain on the racetrack, 11 of which are on the lead lap. Drivers that find themselves out of this race are Austin McGill, Michael Thorpe Jr., Bob Berry, Dustin Pink, Lakey, Sikorsky, Ramos, Bell, Bassinger, Williams, Phillips, Kilroe, and most recently, Marasco, and in fact, Nick Nickerson as well. Paul Sattler 8 laps down, Keith Lee's 2 down and 1 down is Dees, Maskill, Ashmore, and Wellman. Several playoff contenders have been impacted by what has been a bloodbath of an opening half of this race, and several of them are probably wishing, hey, maybe, who knows what would have happened if you stuck around and got the damage repaired with all the attrition that came your way.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how much attrition we got in the first place here tonight here at Auto Club. A lot of contenders that we expect to do well, like Dustin Pink, for example. 80 laps down, so many chances for points thrown out the window. This almost felt like a Talladega rather than what you would expect with how difficult it got. Look at that set inside. Osborne couldn't get to the stick.
He tried it. Couldn't get there, though. Top 5 all in a line right now. One more car coming down pit road. Connor Gibson. Hold on, Connor Gibson couldn't make the run on field, so he comes down pit road. He is on the same strategy as Tanner Marr, and critically, Gibson here, a playoff contender. That's going to be a big shaker for him. He is now stuck a lap down.
And that's not good for them, again, with those fuel marks. It's still touch and go for everybody else, still a little bit. 7.5 laps to go. They might be right on the edge. Still with that number. 32 laps for Tanner Marr. By the time these drivers, some of them who pit early, mind you, Nolan, they might be at lap 32 at the checker flag.
7 laps to go. The drivers that would be at lap 32 include Coruscant and Osborne. Hobbs would actually be at 34. Lacey would be at 32. Foster would be at 33. Everyone else in this pack would be 31. It's so close. I do kind of love fuel mileage races, right? Because, I mean, they're so unpredictable, and they really do keep you guessing right down to the last while. And I think I just heard pretty much just about everybody clutching into the turns with that time by.
Yeah, still 6 laps to do something, though. And right now, that top 2 is really moving the bumper. You see Hobb just rolling to push the 40. Trying to see the 40 burn up more fuel down these straightaways than everybody else. We do have lap traffic approaching, though. Brian Dees is in front of the leaders to potentially open things up. Lacey's been slipping to the back.
What Jaden Hobb is also doing here is trying to push Nicholas Corso to ensure that John Osborne, Jeremiah Hobbs, and Lacey can't swamp him when eventually he wants to go for that move as well. So he's playing strategically. He's saving fuel in the draft, but he's also making sure that Osborne and co. have to keep up the pace themselves, so they cannot save as much fuel as they're hoping for. So he's not just trying to get Corso to burn up fuel. He's also trying to get the guys behind him to burn up more fuel just to keep pace with them.
Yeah, that's the tough thing. And Lacey, I think, along with Hobbs, you can take them out of the equation for the race win. They are too far back here unless there's some big checkups here. Top three have really started a choo-choo train out here. When is the time to go for a hop, though? When's the chance to hop along to the race lead as Hobbs has now lost the draft?
Hobbs is slowing quickly. He is right now running about 20 to 30 kilometers an hour slower than the top four down the straightaway. He is running on fumes right now. Venture Lacey was able to bring himself back into the fight, so it is now once again a four-way battle for the win. But remember, Lacey is only 2 laps. He only came down 2 laps later than Jeremiah Hobbs, so that means he is also probably going to have to start doing the same in about 4 to 6 miles here.
This is getting a little bit nerve-wracking, I think, for some of these drivers. A little bit, still 3 laps to do something, anything. And right now, still listening to hear if there's any clutch or coastings. Not hearing as much of them now at this point. Whatever you have to sort it out now for that stretch to the finish.
Game on. No option to wait this time around. Nicholas Coruscant retains the race lead. He has been logging laps more and more. Jeremiah Hobbs has just lost the top 5. He is now already 6.5 seconds back in just 2 laps, which shows just how short he was on fuel. 2 laps the distance now, 4 miles to go in the Ohio and Indiana Roofing 250 here at the Auto Club Speedway. Coruscant with the lead, driving her in deep into turn numbers 1 and 2 as Jaden Hoff tried to set something up down the back straightaway into 3.
Right now, Coruscant just trying to block middle. Hop could have took the inside. It hasn't worked all night long. Still coming up to the white flag this time. If the 00 wants it, he's going to have to try and find a way up high side down the front.
White flag in the air. One final trip around the Auto Club Speedway. It's been a grueling race. Once again, Hobbs shoving Coruscant down to the turn numbers 1 and 2. Trying to make sure that Lacey can't send one down the inside. Through 1, through 2. Lacey tracking up for the inside, trying to clear for the number 3 spot. Coruscant still hung up on the outside of the racetrack. Jaden Hoff, though, has got Lacey to attempt with. The move will have to come in turn number 3. Hoff driving her into turn numbers 3 and 4. Looking high, trying to set him a run for the front straightaway. He's going to go around the outside of the final corner. Coruscant off of turn number 4. Can he hang on? Off of turn 4. A drag race to the line. Hoff pulls alongside. Photo finish. Give it to Coruscant. Nicholas Coruscant hangs on. And it is the maiden win of car number 40 this afternoon in Fontana.
Nice job to hang on. Hop, I think, waited a little bit too long to make the move. He could have did it the lap previous. Take away the run for the 40 by turn 2 exit if he kept it alongside. But in the end, Coruscant played it right to be able to charge forward when he did and was able to hold on for the final 15 laps or so.
Unbelievable drive for Nicholas Coruscant. He was not safe on fuel until the last second. Same with Benjamin Lacey, and Coruscant able to come home and put down a stellar of a drive here this afternoon. Jaden Hopp admittedly helped him out quite a bit by helping to keep him in front. And for the first time in high tide race league history, Nicholas Coruscant will get the chance to put on a smoke show on the front straightaway.
Hopefully he's got enough gas to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think he's trying. I don't think the car's got it, though.
Yeah, I think his fuel is done. He's done.
That shows how close he was, though, right? I mean, really driving on the razor's edge. You know, I've seen some drivers sometimes, kind of try to hold a little bit extra in the tank just for a burnout. Yeah, he's trying so hard. I don't think he's got it, though. Michael Keithley coming down to celebrate with him, of course, his teammate. And instead, I think they're just going to push him around in the victory lane instead. They'll call the night there. A close call, though, coming down to the checker flag here this time by. Take a look back at this one as it was a close call. Jaden Hopp made the look, and it was 24 thousandths of a second. You'll see the top of your screen coming out of turn number 4. Here's some of the last cars that were on the lead lap. Just taking the final lap. There they are. There's the group off at turn 4. Coming down to the wire. There's a look from Jaden Hopp. And yet at the line, it is going to be too little, too late for the 00. Win number 10. We'll have to wait one more week. Well, Justin, let's take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon. It was a wild night over the course of the championship, and this one going to be huge in the points as well. We'll look at the championship standings after our post-race show. In the meantime, it's Coruscant with a race win by about a quarter of a tenth of a second over Jaden Hopp. John Osmond and Benjamin Lacey will pull off a 75 Racing 3 and 4. Scott Shire back in 5th. Kevin Foster stands in 6th. Walker in 7th. Jesse Gordon in 8th. Then Hobbs and Marr, the first 2 cars finishing this race, 1 lap down.
Kyle Wellman was amongst those that tried a different strategy along with Marr and Connor Gibson. They finished 10th, 11th, 12th respectively. Mike Massengill finishes down in 13th. Also a lap down was Michael Ashmore. 2 laps down for Michael Keithley. Brian Dees was also 2 down. Then you have Steve Seth Mary, who finished down at 17th. Nickerson had some speed early on. Got involved with some of the stack ups, finished 22 laps down in 18th. Ty Marasco did get himself back out there for a little bit, but still finished 19th. Dalton Kiro finished 20th.
From there, 21st place, it's going to be Carter Phillips, not finishing the race, along with several others up in the top 20 this race. Sean Williams, Christopher Vassenger, Larry Bell, Michael Ramos, Steven Sikorsky, Dustin Ping, David Lakey, Michael Thorpe Jr., and Bob Berry will join him. And the first retiree, not even 20 laps in, was Austin McGill, who went upside down after a vicious impact into the inside wall. Well, that's going to be it then for Racing Action this afternoon, but there's still plenty to talk about, and I'm sure Nicholas Coruscant is going to be a happy camper here at the end of the night. Let's give a chit-chat in here with the driver that finishes number 1. It's the man of the hour. Nicholas, your last and so far only other podium came at this sister track at Michigan National Speedway back in July. Today, it is your first ever race win of your High-Tide Racing League career. How does it feel to get the job done?
It feels freaking great.
Kind of talk us through the field strategy this afternoon, because it was it was an intense drive. And Jaden Hopp, for all intents and purposes, kind of pushed it to a win on that one.
Yeah, we knew there was teammates with us, and I'm not part of their team, but knew me and Jaden could work together, and he did a great job pushing me. That low line was really working for me in 1 and 2, and gave me a chance to, cut off the air from the 2 guys behind us, and that seemed to keep us in front of them. So, big thanks to Jaden for all the help there.
Well, we look forward to how this race went this afternoon. Obviously, this one couldn't have gone much better for you. Started 19th, plus 18 on the grid, and you walk away with the race win here tonight. Obviously, a good consolation prize of being knocked out from the round of 12. Do you reckon you can keep up more and maybe pile on the pressure to the rest of the field come season 5?
Yeah, we'll see. These tracks just seem to work really well for me. It's a little bit of tire save, kinda. You can figure out a line and kind of save a little bit of tire. But Michigan and Auto Club always seem to be really good tracks for me just because of that reason.
And one final question before we let you go. We did see the car is for sale. How much is it going for?
This one is gonna go in my yard now, so it is not for sale anymore. Evidently, I need to make every car for sale because that's the only time I run good.
Fair enough. Well, you'll put the car in the yard for the first win of your HTRL career. Congratulations on taking home your first win, and we'll see you again next week in Georgia.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Nicholas Corso comes home #1 here at the end of the night. We will also have Jaden Hopp, his teammate, bringing it home with an old school racers 1-2 finish. And JP, you're standing by with a man that extends the points lead here this afternoon.
Yes, indeed. Jaden Hopp now joins the broadcast booth. Jaden, talk us through those final laps where you're pushing the bumper of the 40 machine, also while trying to manage the fuel. What was going through your mind there as you try to plot and plan and try to make sure you extend the fuel run while extending the points lead?
I'd say it was pretty smooth sailing. I finished like a lap to the good on fuel, so we were good there. I was a little tight when I got the lead, or tight on fuel when I got the lead, but otherwise that wasn't really too much of a concern for me because I went that lap longer. But yeah, I was just doing my best to help Nick. Good to see him win a race. Good to see him running up front. But yeah, good for the team points. Just good to finish second overall. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I had a pretty good points race, so that's good.
As well, how intense was that type of racing tonight? We've seen plenty of 4 wide in the first place here at Auto Club. What was that sensation like knowing, especially early on in the runs, the draft seemed to be pulling everybody like it's Talladega?
Oh, it was super scary. I was almost in a couple incidents, and I just wanted to make sure I finished the race with a 0x, since that you get bonus points for that, and I need as many of those as I can get.
So with that being said here, what's the approach now going to be for Atlanta next time out as you put yourself in a very comfortable spot on points?
For Atlanta, it's just gonna be hoping, really. I might miss that race. Probably gonna miss that race. So, yeah, I need the points, and we're just gonna go out and hope I end up with a big enough points advantage.
Any shows you'd like to give here tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, and all the admins for putting on the league, and all my teammates, especially Nick. Good win. I'd like to thank all my friends and family for shouting me on. I know my mom's sick right now, so hopefully she feels better soon, and that I love her. But yeah, just good to finish this race out.
Congratulations on second place here tonight.
Thank you very much.
Jaden Hopp comes away in second spot tonight. John Osborne came away in third spot. He is with Nolan.
John, you come home third. It's back-to-back podiums for you here. This one was one that did not come easily. It was a much longer race that we had in Las Vegas, and I'm sure it felt long with a multitude of cautions in the opening salvo there. But it was all down to fuel at the top end of this one. Talk to you were able to judge the fuel numbers and play the game to walk away to the podium this afternoon.
Yeah, definitely. Car was definitely good all night long. I was just trying to stay on the low side. Because most of what was happening as far as wrecks were happening on the high side. So when they start spinning, they're just going to keep going up the track. So I was like, I'm just going to do my best to stay on the low side for the majority of the racing, and it definitely paid off. As far as the fuel goes, running the low side was helping me save a lot without having to clutch. Because I'm off the throttle a good bit more. And, these cars definitely lean on the tight side. So later in the run, as guys start pushing up high, having clean air on the nose helped. And then just getting right back behind somebody was definitely helped me save fuel. So I was able to go one extra lap than, Ben in the 40. When we came out, though, the 3 kind of got in our way and allowed the 40 to kind of split us. And 40 and the 00 are teammates, and so they were talking about that. So they definitely wanted to separate me and Ben, which I understand, and they executed that very, very well. And after that, I mean, I'm just trying to maintain position because I tried to make a low move a couple of times, but with the 40, staying a little bit higher, and then the 00 behind him, they were just going to have a little bit of draft help, and there's nothing I could do. So, and Ben didn't have enough tire to try to really, really help me, and I had a lot more tire than him, and so it was just tough trying to push him. But so I was like, well, I'm gonna try to get third. So that's what I got. But yeah, someone just told me I've gotten podium 3 out of the last 4 races. And man, I wish I could have had some of that luck earlier in the year. I would love to be in the playoffs right now, but I think my goal is just try to fight to get to 13th and just wonder what might have been.
Well, the round of 8 so far has definitely been a bit of a flash of the past. All 3 tracks have been tracks we visited before. Next week is another trip back to the older scan of Atlanta Motor Speedway. The first time we went here earlier this season obviously was eventful, putting it mildly. Do you reckon it'll be eventful enough for you that you're able to put that car onto a podium and kind of sweep the round of 8 for podiums on you?
I would hope so. Atlanta's one of my tracks that I'm licking my chops to get to. Unfortunately, I got taken out earlier in the season at that track, but the car was really good. And spending all this time in the ARCA car now, going through this season, I've learned a lot more about how to kind of drive it and save tires and try to get it on the right rear, which is really tough in this car. In its current configuration of how they have it set up in iRacing. But Atlanta's going to be very similar to how this was tonight. Going to be a lot of draft racing. If we can get a good green flag run, it will spread out. But I think it might end up being like what we saw tonight. Tons of cautions early, thins the field out, and then we can get to go green for the last couple of fuel runs. But I love Atlanta, especially love old Atlanta. It breaks my heart to know that they pretty much ruined that racetrack. If anyone out there is listening and you love Echo Park, well, okay. But old Atlanta was much better. But I think I definitely have a chance of sweeping the podiums in the round of 8. But I mean, there's going to be some luck involved, and just taking care of tires and just putting myself in the right position.
We'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing next week in Hampton, Georgia. Congratulations on taking home number 3, and we'll talk to you again hopefully next week.
Yeah, I do have a couple shout outs if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
First off, I want to thank Ben and everybody that puts this league on. This has been a very fun season for me. A lot of trials and tribulations, but some very good highs. And thank them for putting on such a fun league. The racing's been really good all year. Thank you guys up in the booth for what you do week in and week out. You had a fun one to call tonight. For sure. Hopefully we put on a great product for y'all next week. Thank Ohio Roofing, who's the sponsor of the race tonight. I live in Georgia, so I don't know if they're going to be coming down here to put a roof on my house. But if you're in Ohio or the surrounding areas, then definitely give them a call. Definitely want to thank my mom and dad, and they watch every night that I'm racing. So sorry, Mom, Dad. I'm the third loser tonight, but and then thank my team, with Ben, Kevin, and Nick, and everybody else. I appreciate them, and we all work together very well. So we'll see y'all next week.
That was John Osborne coming home number 3 this afternoon, and that'll wrap up the post-race show for us here this afternoon. Justin, a brutal race this afternoon for quite a few of the playoff contenders, and that has been reflected in the championship standings exiting today. Hop extends that lead. Yes, it is now 14 back to Lacey, but Dustin Ping is in, Walker is in, Lacey's still in, but Michael Thorpe Jr. and Connor Gibson, 2 drivers that were on the inside, all of a sudden on the outside looking in, and with a bit of work to do. It's a 6-point deficit for Thorpe, a 5-point deficit for Hobbs, and even more for Gibson. And, well, Bassinger, I think his title hopes may have been crushed by this race tonight. But Atlanta's unpredictable, and anything can happen there too.
It's not as big of an attrition racetrack, to say the very least, especially since old Atlanta this time around, but it's still a driver-intensive track. You better have the speed figured out by the time you get there, Nolan. Otherwise, you are going to get yourself in a points deficit. You need to have good long-run speed. You need to know how to manage the tires. That's going to play a huge factor for who gets the battle for a championship in a couple weeks.
Still a lot yet to come on Green Flag TV over the next little while as we battle our way into the month of September of 2025. Coming on up, it's going to be the Beer League coming on up from the Suzuka circuit with just 2 races to go in their season. 1 series entering their final race. It's the Average Joe Sim Racing League with the MX-5 Trackside Delivery 150 at Homestead Miami Speedway. They will be joining the likes of the SRA Gen 4 series in Miami Between them, it's the FTRFS Trophy.ai Endurance Series alongside the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series on Saturday. And the Highline Diecast Collectible Speed Cup Series out for a marathon at Bristol Motor Speedway this coming Thursday as well. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. Once again, my name is Noel Wemple alongside Justin Prince. Thank you all so much for joining us for more racing action here on Monday night. We'll see you all in 7 days when we see who's in and who's out in Georgia.